Have you ever felt like an outsider among other parents? While they are constantly hovering, checking every single homework assignment, and intervening in every minor playground dispute, you find yourself taking a step back. You simply stand on the sidelines and let your child face their own problems. But here is the paradox. The moment a truly serious crisis strikes, you completely transform. You are the first one ready to storm straight into the principal's office, defending your child with a fierce intensity that freezes everyone in the room. Why does this happen? Why do former latchkey kids, the generation that wore house keys around their necks, came home to empty houses and raised themselves without supervision, become parents of such extreme contradictions? How can you be so coolly detached one moment, yet so intensely protective the next? The truth is, this is not a sign of confused parenting. It is a profound psychological compensation mechanism, one that is silently reshaping the entire Gen X generation. If you listen to society, especially the older generations who raised you, their judgment is often harsh. You have probably heard the heavy sighs and the passive-aggressive comments at family gatherings. They look at how fiercely you protect your children and declare that kids these days are simply too spoiled. There is a widespread, almost universal assumption that Generation X parents are terrified of letting their children experience hardship, and as a result, they are creating a generation of fragile snowflakes. People think you are just coddling them, but science tells a completely different story. A landmark 2004 market research study by Reach Advisors looked deeply into this demographic and came to a brutal conclusion. They officially classified Generation X as one of the least nurtured and least parented generations in American history. This was the direct result of an economic shift, an era where dual-income households exploded, leaving millions of children physically and emotionally unattended. Because you survived that profound emotional absence, what you are doing now is not spoiling your kids. According to the foundational theories of developmental psychologist Diana Baumrind, your behavior is not permissive parenting. Instead, Gen X is making a highly conscious, deliberate shift toward the authoritative parenting style. This is a complex psychological balance. You are providing the deep, unconditional emotional warmth and support that you were denied as a child. But crucially, you are pairing that warmth with fierce expectations and strict disciplines regarding their independence. You are not making your children soft. You are systematically giving them the emotional safety net you never had, while still demanding they learn how to fly. To understand how this complex parenting style plays out in real life, let us look at Min, a 45-year-old father. Min almost never checks his son's homework. If his kid comes home complaining about a minor argument with a friend, Min does not intervene. He simply looks at his son and says, "Figure it out yourself." To the outside world, he might seem completely hands-off, but then the dynamic changes. One evening, Min notices the undeniable signs that his son is being seriously bullied at school. The shift is instantaneous. Min immediately takes a leave of absence from work. At 8 o'clock the next morning, he is sitting inside the principal's office. He is not throwing a wild tantrum, but he is armed with sharp logic, undeniable evidence, and an intimidating, relentless determination that demands immediate action. This behavior is the defining characteristic of what experts now call the stealth fighter parent. Unlike the notorious helicopter parents, who hover 24/7 and micromanage every breath their child takes, the stealth fighter operates completely off the radar. They wait in the shadows. They allow their children to navigate the daily bumps and bruises of life entirely on their own. But the very second a legitimate, undeniable threat locks onto their child, they activate their full payload. They strike with overwhelming precision and force. However, there is a distinct dark side to this strategy. Because this intervention is so sudden and so extreme, it can completely overwhelm everyone involved, especially the child. For a kid who is used to their parent being chill and distant, this explosive shift can be deeply confusing. It is a 0 to 100 escalation that leaves teachers stunned and children feeling like they have accidentally triggered a nuclear response to a localized problem. So why do they do it? Why do Gen X parents operate with such extreme duality? It comes down to a profound, agonizing internal paradox. As a Gen X parent, you deeply despise the idea of controlling your children. You refused to take away their freedom because extreme independence was the only survival skill you were ever taught. You give them space because it is all you know. Yet simultaneously, you are starved for presence. You are fiercely trying to overcompensate for the emotional void of your own youth. You give your children the physical freedom you had, but you violently defend them to prove that you are actually there. It is a ferocious, overwhelming display of love, desperately designed to fill the exact emotional emptiness you felt decades ago when you were sitting all alone in that quiet, empty house. To truly understand this paradox, we have to look beneath the surface of everyday parenting choices and examine the actual neurological wiring of Generation X. Psychologists have a specific term for the root of this behavior. It is called hyperindependence. Society often praises independence as a virtue, but hyperindependence is not just a strong personality trait. It is a trauma response. It is a highly sophisticated psychological defense mechanism, born directly from what clinical psychology defines as childhood emotional neglect. When you were growing up, coming home to that quiet, empty house day after day, your developing nervous system was absorbing a harsh, silent lesson. It was literally rewiring your brain to believe one absolute truth. No one is coming to save you. You can only rely on yourself. And the world outside your home only reinforced this terrifying belief. As you grew older, you did not step into the golden age of stability that your parents enjoyed. You graduated into harsh economic recessions. You watched lifelong corporate loyalty evaporate overnight. And you saw the secure, predictable lives of the boomer generation completely crumble. Your brain processed all of this chaos and reached a final conclusion. The world is inherently unstable, and the system will not protect you. Because of this deeply ingrained neurological and sociological programming, your ultimate goal as a parent is fundamentally different from the parents hovering on the playground. You are not trying to build a perfect, safe, fragile glass cage for your children to live in. You know from personal experience that the glass will eventually shatter. Instead, you are using their childhood to forge a suit of psychological armor. You are intentionally letting them take small hits now while you are still around to watch, so that when they finally step into that unpredictable world alone, they will know exactly how to survive it. But before we glorify this warrior mentality, we must acknowledge the devastating, hidden cost. Do not romanticize this extreme independence. Forging armor is exhausting work, and the silent price you are paying right now is severe emotional burnout. You are currently trapped in what sociologists call the sandwich generation. Every single day, you are forced to act as an exhausted translator between two generations that refuse to speak the same language. On one side, your boomer parents shake their heads criticizing you for being far too soft and accommodating with your kids. On the exact opposite side, your Generation Z or Alpha children look at your strict boundaries and complain that you are too rigid, harsh, and emotionally distant. You are caught in the crossfire, and because your childhood taught you to never, ever ask for help, you try to carry the massive emotional weight of both generations completely on your own shoulders. The tragic irony is that by trying to be everything for everyone without showing weakness, you can end up feeling profoundly, deeply isolated, sitting right in the middle of your own crowded living room. Ultimately, the psychology of a Generation X parent is like a master blacksmith desperately trying to reforge an ancient, flawed sword. You are intentionally keeping the cold, sharp, indestructible steel of extreme independence handed down by your parents. But you are using the intense fire of your own empathy to completely remake the handle. You are reshaping it so that this weapon will protect your child out in the real world without ever making their own hands bleed. It is a beautiful, quiet rebellion. Every time you step back to let them fail, and every time you fiercely step in to protect them, you are not just raising a son or a daughter. You are actually reaching back in time, parenting your own neglected inner child. It will never be a perfect system, but it is a monumental, profoundly human effort to finally shatter the cycle of generational trauma once and for all. Did you see reflections of yourself, or perhaps your own parents in this story? If you were the child who grew up with a cold house key resting against your chest, how has that silent experience shaped the way you love and protect others today? I truly want to read your experiences, so please share your story in the comments below. If this video helped you understand a hidden piece of yourself, please subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so we can continue exploring the human mind together. And if you are ready to understand even more about how our past controls our present, click the video on your screen right now to explore the hidden psychology of generational trauma. I will see you there.